approval ratings may be down, but there was a big old love fest happening in D.C. yesterday when you-know-who and his cabinet met with their guy, you-know-who. Oh, so they say, take a look at the clip. Come on, you gotta have a little fun with this.
That's so good. Call me surreal watching that, wasn't it, though?
Call
like
me
the actual
crazy,
cabinet meeting?
but I want a cabinet meeting where they're actually getting stuff done. Yeah. I mean, these people, it drives me crazy because people all over the country work really hard to get people elected, and they believe in them, and they're worried about jobs, and they're worried about health care, and then you see this, and this is what people hate about politics, and I don't think it's Republican or Democrat. This is what politicians do, and you see it at the State of the Union address every year when they get up, and there's all this pomp and
You've never seen anything like this.
No,
I'm sorry, you've never seen it.
Right, but you know, just the idea.
Big smoke machine.
Really? How much self-hate?
That was incredible.
I'd like to know how much. First of all, Reince Priebus, it says it's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
How much self-tanner does he have on his lips?
I know.
You know? But I mean, to say it's a blessing and to kiss his butt like that, it's nauseating. And then Trump says no one, except for FDR, and he was in the middle of a depression, has created more legislation than I have. Excuse me, what legislation has he done?
What he's talking about.
Done none. Newt Gingrich is coming on in a little while. Let's ask Newt.
I think what was obvious to me in watching it, I mean, we have the president with an approval rating of in the 30s, right? 34%. So in his cabinet, in his White House, he needs that affirmation. Going to your smoke screen, I think he needs to feel loved.
I didn't say smoke screen.
I think that's what he needs.
Well, the thing is, when you're doing stuff that's actually really good, the policy speaks for itself. You don't need to announce that you're really great. If you have to announce that you're really great, there's something missing. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
We'll be right back. Kris Jenner says there's such a thing as a bullying environment in America right now. She worries about her grandchildren growing up in the age of social media. Is it tougher to raise kids in the age of social media?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know it, right?
Difficult. No, I think it's extremely difficult. I mean, I feel like I've become like the internet police. You know, I've said before, I had so many cyber sitters on our computers at home that my son couldn't do his biology homework. And then I was like, okay, so now I've gone too far with this, but I don't know where you draw the line, because if they get online, then there can be people, predators that are engaging them online. Mm-hmm. You also don't want them being bullied. You don't want them to bully. I just think it's really difficult to get your arms around it when you're a parent.
I was bullied as a kid, though, without the internet, because I wore Bermuda shorts in a very tough neighborhood.
Yeah.
No, that's a fact. Yeah. I used to walk around dressed like some things out of, I don't know, Scotland or something.
Why?
And I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Why did you dress?
My mother, I was an only child, and they used to put these crazy outfits on me all the time. And so the kids would come from other neighborhoods and say, they wanted to beat me up for no reason. I think it was my clothing. I really do.
But can you imagine now they take a picture of you in your Bermuda shorts and they put it all over social media?
That's the trouble.
That's not just kids. That's adults doing that. That's adults taking pictures of kids and bullying them on social media.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like it's just easier now, because it's easier to kind of organize. If you have a bunch of bullies, they can sort of form these groups on Facebook or whatever. And then also, you see on Twitter, you can hide behind those little eggs, so you're anonymously harassing someone all night. So I think the bullying always existed. It's just facilitated now.
Why don't they get rid of those eggs? Those eggs are asking to be anonymous.
I know.
They should get rid of those.
I know. And
Can they?
The eggs are always the Twitter thugs. Those are always the mean ones. But then I wonder, what do you do if your kid has the last name Kardashian West, or your kid has the Jenner last name? That's probably pretty difficult. People think because they live their life publicly that they get a pass towards the kids. I say, no, you don't get a pass towards my kid, which is, I think, what Kris Jenner is saying. But what do you do?
Well, she says Chris, her daughter Kim, she's coming on tomorrow, Kim, that she has a thick skin. And we've seen a lot of it, too. But no, she does. But she has a thick skin,
She
that
has
girl.
to have a thick skin. I mean, people have come after her in the nastiest ways.
You also
I hope they don't do it to the kids.
It's interesting to me because do you have to strike a balance though? Because you want to have these conversations with your kids. You have to give some trust to your own kids to kind of, because you know what, they can, even if you monitor their devices, they can go look on a friend's device or they can be active. It's so easy to kind of have that.
Well, I was telling you before that my grandson, he sees on the thing there's a player, another player to talk to.
Oh, yes.
Can I play with this person? No.
I know.
You cannot play with this person. At 6 years old, you have to start them very young. They do not play with anybody else
On the internet.
that they don't know.
It's almost like you're having a play date in your home with a stranger.
You don't go into a car with a stranger. Why would you play with someone online who's a stranger?
That's right.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
Tell them young.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Okay.
We'll be back. Welcome back. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, has written a new book, to help people understand why you know who, the guy in the White House, is the right man for the job. Please welcome Newt Gingrich. So we were just talking about this kind of interesting cabinet meeting that just happened. We thought it was a little bizarre. What'd you think?
Well, let me say first of all, because you're supposed to ask me to say this to you. We were there with you the night you did the Marvin Gaye event at the Community Center.
Yes,
Remember when the mics went out, the whole thing, you were brilliant.
Thank
I just want to say, she wanted to say, you were amazing. Well, understanding Trump, whether you like him or dislike him, is really designed to say, look, the guy's really different, and here's some examples of why he's really different. I would say yesterday's cabinet meeting was really different.
That's a really nice way to put it.
Would you say, Newt, that he's a little on the needy side, that he has to have all this constant adoration going on?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, I don't think this would be a great shock to him. If you have a Trump tower and a Trump club with a Trump water.
Yeah, it's not enough.
It's possible that the centrality of Trump is a significant part of his life.
I would say.
And, of course, now he has a Trump Air Force One and a Trump Marine One and a Trump White House. So
Well, he doesn't have that.
No, he didn't. No.
He has the United States of America's Air Force One.
Sorry, it goes beyond us.
in his mind,
He can use them, but he can't have them.
he knows that they're on loan.
Oh, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Thinks that they're not yours, Dad.
Yeah.
But let's get to Mr. Comey. You think he exonerated
Involving Trump and Russia. Now, it's pretty hard. If the FBI director says to you after 5 months of looking, I can't find anything, maybe it's possible there isn't anything there. Second, he pointed out, for example, that the New York Times page one story, there was this big scandal story, was totally false.
which total scandal? Which one?
This was one that was based on some leaks from people. And Comey made a good point, which is when you're reading about an anonymous source with a classified leak, the odds are the person who you're talking to didn't have the classified leak, and the person who had the classified information didn't actually tell the person who had the leak. If you go back and read his testimony, a lot of all this big puff shrinks.
Yeah, but but Watergate took a few years. You have to give the guy time.
I know you have hope. I realize hope springs eternal.
If you believe that, just based on what you were saying, why was it so hard to accept that he didn't find what everybody thought there was going to be on Mrs. Clinton?
Well, I think actually he found more than enough on Mrs. Clinton, which is why she's still Mrs. Clinton.
But I don't know. Now, that was doublespeak at its best. What did you just say? What the hell did you just say? It's not president.
I think in the absence of, and I, by the way, thought Comey was fairly bizarre in that job. But first he does a July thing in which he announces a non-indictment bill of indictment. He walks through the whole thing, then says, but I'm not going to suggest indicting. Then he comes back in October and says, oh, we just found this new stuff. I really feel like I have to report it right this minute or I'll feel that. My point was, she would be called President Clinton if he had found nothing.
No,
He
the
found
Russians
just enough for her to not win.
But let's not be good.
But Speaker, the bottom line is if the president feels that he was vindicated by some of the things that he said, that implies that Comey's testimony was truthful. Comey also said that the president was a liar. And he also said that the president asked him for his loyalty and asked him to let go of the Flynn investigation. How is that a victory?
Yeah.
Oh, look, I think that in terms of whether or not Trump personally was involved in any way with the Russians, you had Senator Feinstein, leading Democrat, ranking member of intelligence, who said there's nothing there.
But he also called him a liar. Is that
I know.
true
Well,
as well?
I think they will each call each other liars. But remember, Comey was fired. Now, in my experience, people who are fired often are unhappy. And the person who fired him was Donald Trump. And Comey thinks he has to choose. Was Donald Trump's fault or was it his fault? Comey, if you'll notice, whether it's talking about Attorney General Lynch, Attorney General Sessions, President Trump, it's always the other person.
But he wrote those memos before he was fired, so he wasn't disgruntled yet.
Well, you assume he wrote those memos. Of course he was disgruntled. He was disgruntled all through the...
Do you honestly find him credible, though? Because I have so many concerns about Comey. Yeah, do you find him... Okay, well, that's my point, though.
Do you find Trump credible?
But if he had all of these...
Now, come on, dude, let's be real. The guy, according to PolitiFact, Trump has lied 277 times. We don't have that kind of record on Comey. Come on.
Yeah, but if Comey had all of these issues...
You mean like you get to keep your doctor, you get to keep your insurance? I want to talk about lies and presidents for a minute.
That was a
Do you believe that Obama wiretapped Trump?
I believe that there were people being wiretapped.
Do you believe Obama wiretapped Trump?
Well, I think the wiretaps would not have happened without his approval.
Come on. See? No. So do you think, where was President Obama born?
In Honolulu.
Okay, so you thank God.
So he lied about that.
Yeah.
Even
And
after
do you believe
I'm not here to defend. I'm not going to defend Trump as a paragon of purity.
No, not a paragon of purity, but a guy who at least will tell the truth. Occasionally.
I think he tells the truth a lot, and I think the American people concluded that he was a better gamble in our future than Hillary Clinton, and I think that's why he currently is called the president.
3 million people do not agree with that.
That was all in California.
Well, we're not going to stop 3 million people. Last I checked, there were people in California.
That's right.
Do you think that people now, because you're looking at the approval numbers, and they're not great, do you think that what's frustrating for me is that I think a lot of people believed that President Trump would talk about jobs, would talk about health care, and there's a lot of other stuff going on that they want to kind of clear away. Are people frustrated with him? Are they disappointed in him? What are they really feeling out there?
I think it's amazing that if you look at for example, CNN's 93% negative coverage, according to Harvard, 93% negative. I think it's a miracle that Trump has any approval. I mean,
my God.
you have this constant, unending barrage.
I have a question, too. Go ahead.
Here we go. Now
So do you mean, because I recall, and maybe I'm crazy, but I recall from the time the gentleman came down the escalator until the time he won, he was 24/7 on every television, on every network, making one of the head of the network saying, yeah, it wasn't good for America, but it was great for us.
CBS.
It was all positive until people started asking questions. Now,
No, it wasn't all positive.
I'm sorry.
It was live coverage of what Obama was saying.
It was all noisy, but it wasn't all positive.
No, it was 98% of it was positive news.
Oh, I
have a question.
I know you disagree with it, but I don't care. I know what I saw.
Can I ask you this? You know, there's a little bit rumblings now that he wants to fire Mueller. I don't know if it's true or not. One of his friends said it. His lawyer implies. My question is, if there's smoke and no fire, then what's he so scared of? What's he afraid of? That he wants to fire the next guy.
Well, if I understand the story that came out this morning, it was by a guy who is close to Trump, who has not talked to Trump, has no idea what Trump is thinking, but he thinks that Trump is thinking, and therefore he said...
His lawyer said that. One of his lawyers implied.
Would that be a mistake? Would that be a mistake if he decided to try to fire the special counsel?
It's a mistake if he was to fire him.
By the way, it's not unconstitutional. It's not illegal. He is the president. He can fire him.
But will he suffer politically if he does
He would suffer politically, which is why he shouldn't do it.
I don't know if he would even suffer.
Well, you got to come back clearly. There's much more to talk. Much more to talk
I had
about.
questions about Russia.
I know you did. but we ran out of time.
With their smoke, there's vodka.
Thanks to Newt Gingrich. Members of the audience are getting a copy of his book. We'll be right back. Hey, so Kerry Washington stopped by the other day, and Joyce, Sarah, and Sonny sat down with her. Take a look.
I am still trying to process that wild season finale of Scandal, and now Kerry Washington is spending her summer in the driver's seat of one of this season's most anticipated summer blockbusters, Cars 3. Please welcome Kerry Washington. You are so busy these days with your TV and films, a production company, 2 kids. You've got a three-year-old Isabel, and 8-month-old Caleb.
You're getting tired listening to you.
I'm exhausted going through this, but you once talked about what it means to be a perfect mom. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, I just really think we need to let go of that word or kind of what it means. I think for me, I've had to really let perfect be defined as what is, as opposed to somebody else's idea of what it is supposed to be, because it's supposed to be what it is. So if I'm like on a conference call with my team, covered and spit up and, driving to school, whatever it is, like that's my perfect. I get to do it however I do it, right? We get to do it.
There's a famous psychologist who coined the phrase "good enough mother."
I read that. That's right.
Right, Winnicott, I think her name is, and and I think that's what you're driving at. We put too much pressure on ourselves to be perfect.
And I think
good
to be
enough is
perfect
good
in
enough.
every area, right? Like you can be. And that doesn't mean settling. That doesn't mean being mediocre, but it means saying, for me, like what's happening in the moment is perfect as it is. I don't have to criticize and beat myself up or feel like it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not only is it good enough, but it's great enough.
It's never going to be enough anyway.
That's right. It's great enough.
You are a very politically active actress.
I am.
I mean, a lot of actors do not throw themselves in.
True.
But you have a big voice in politics.
Big mouth.
She went with big voice, but
Look who you're sitting with, all right? You worked for the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton, right?
I did, yeah.
So what do you think about what's going on right now?
Oh, that's
loaded question.
There's that. Yeah. I mean, I have to say, one distinction that's important for me to always make is that I'm not a politically active actor. I'm a politically active American.
Right.
Because I don't participate in my democracy because because I'm in the public eye. I participate in my democracy because that's what democracy is. We the people means that we all have to show up and participate. Our leaders only know how to lead if we show up. So one of the most tragic things for me was that half of this country didn't show up in the last election.
Yeah.
And it's something that I try to remind myself of too when I feel like, oh, the majority of people put us in it's like, no, half the people didn't vote. So for me, we all have to show up. We all have to have our voice. We all have to participate. That's how our government represents us.
What about when they criticize actors? That happens a lot.
It does. Well, I'm never going to give up my voice as an American because of what I do for a living. Neither should a firefighter or a teacher or a police officer. We all have to have our voices. Because I'm an artist doesn't mean I have to have any less of a voice.
Right. It's your right.
It's what
Right.
It's
And
what
people fought as a woman for me to have my voice and as a person of color for me to have my voice. I love it. And I love that we all get to have our voice.
Yeah. And another thing I love about you is that you're a Bronx girl, just like me. And your mother and I serve on the Bronx Children's Museum Board. We honored you for your activism, for your work. And the Bronx is the only borough in New York that does not have a children's museum.
I know, but because of your work and my mom's work, we're actually breaking ground on a museum this month. So thank you. I mean, I always joke that my mother had dedicated her entire life to making life better for children in the Bronx, not just me, but as a teacher and then training teachers to teach and now on this board.
She's amazing.
I'm just thrilled I get to be along the ride for the work you guys are
see
doing.
where it comes from.
Thank you. Yes,
Sense of duty.
Well, now we have to talk about one of my favorite shows, Scandal!
She channels Olivia Pope.
I know. I have my white coat and my red wine and my popcorn, and I watch
Amen,
every
sis.
Shonda Rhimes says that this is going to be the last season of Scandal.
Let her down lightly.
It is.
So what do you feel about that?
Come on.
You know, I actually, as an actor, you never know when you're going to be out of a job. So I actually really like going into our last season with this information because I feel like we can all really leave it all out on the table. We can make sure that our final season is our best ever and do the work to make it that way. And I feel really honored and blessed that we've had such great fans that we've been around this long. It's hard to do 7 seasons as a
Yeah.
television show. So I really respect Shonda's choice, and it's going to be hard because we're such a family, not only with the cast but with our fans. So I'm going to miss live tweeting. But you know what? We have another year. I'm not going to think about it yet. I'm just going to be in this season and enjoy every second
We
of it.
gladiators are upset.
So there are so many scenes in Scandal over the past 6 seasons that have had a powerful effect, but there was one this season where your character talked about the price of being a female president. Let's take a look at that. So that line caused a bit of a flurry out there, huh?
It did. And
Nasty woman.
when we read it at the table read, because we do our table reads cold, so we don't know what's in the script before we read it. And that line took my breath away. I mean, when I said it, I had to pause because sometimes I just feel so lucky to be on a show where our writers are so courageous, and they're courageous enough to say, take a step back and look at what's happening in the world. And I invite you to have a different perspective on it. And I'm proud to be a nasty woman. I'm proud to be a woman who has a voice. And that, I say that not to say that I'm a person without morals, but that I'm a woman with a voice and a woman who steps into my power and a woman who has an opinion and who, will fight for my rights till the end. And if that makes me nasty,
So be it.
I'm also excited. A little less nasty is your new movie Cars 3.
it's a little less nasty.
Just a little less nasty. But you're joining this incredible and
My mother, which was so
Three
sweet. 3
generations.
generations of women, and we all really loved it. We all really, really loved it. Yeah, it was really fun to watch it with her and sort of try to make sense of the fact that my voice was coming out of a car.
no, that's mommy. That's mommy.
So funny. It was really fun. But my mother was like, this movie's for everybody. It's just such a really heartwarming, empowering. I mean, I was like, am I really getting choked up about a bunch of cars? Like, what is happening right now?
Oh, it's like that.
Crazy. It's really sweet.
Well, thank you so much. A big thank you to Kerry Washington. Cars 3 is in theaters on June 16th. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, Dad.
So you want to up your game this Father's Day by letting Dad soar through the skies, drive like the wind, or surf monster waves without ever leaving the living room. Hallmark's virtual reality Cards making it happen, and their creative director of Greetings Innovations, Tom Brandman, is telling us how.
Cool. Well, thank you. So at Hallmark, we have done hundreds of hours of research on Dad, and we know he loves glitter. That's actually not true at all. We know Dad's love technology. And so what better tech to put in a greeting card than virtual reality? And so the amazing scientists at the virtual reality, at our Greetings Innovation Lab have put a viewer inside a card. So when you give Dad this amazing card, open it up and you can tear out this wonderful viewer. And look at this, it's so easy. With one finger, I can pop it up.
Yeah.
You put in a little URL on your phone, slide it in, and then you're having a virtual reality experience. I don't know if you guys have done this, but if you look up, you can see the top waves, you can look down.
Well, what do you see in there?
Yeah, you see like virtual waves. Look, you see that.
You would be in the water.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
And is there great news?
Yes, there is great news because thanks to our sponsor, Hallmark, members of our audience are going home with a year's supply of Hallmark cards and a $50 gift card.
You know, one of the great things about Father's Day and stuff like that are the cards. When I was a kid, I used to get a card on my birthday, and it was a Hallmark card, and I know this. It had the spots for the quarters.
Oh,
Do you remember? Do you remember when the quarter meant something? And somebody gave you a Hallmark card with like $2 of quarters in it, and it was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Cards really do mean a lot.
I love cards.
I love when
cards.
people write a message, like a handwritten
Yes.
message. It's
Handwritten
so
message.
special. I love it.
You know what? Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming. Have a great day and take a little time to enjoy your view.